Hey all, so we are back with War 8 against Chaos. This is a pretty big war for me. I'm using Photon again, as I have been quite a bit since getting her to rank 5, but also a few Mr. Fantastic fights and a few big future Ant-Man ones as well. So I will say right ahead, I know in this fight I'm probably going to be taking Shatter damage, because Longshot will nullify, and while I should be controlling the drip feed placebo just fine, I will be dexing, and that is going to get to me. Now, of course, he decides to basically not nullify at the start of the fight while I have the regen boost to cover it, and you'll see it's pretty much all concentrated at the end of the fight, because of course it is. But the other thing that you may notice is that we are controlling his karma pretty well here overall. That double nullify there notwithstanding, because of all of the non-damaging debuffs that Photon has access to. So take a ton of Shatter right as we're trying to close it out. Don't love that. But it's not that bad, and she works for this, which was a pretty solid path split. Longshot there into Mysterio. And so I'm not really going to worry about it. We heal her up and we head into Mysterio. Now, the plan here, since we're already fully ramped, is to push him immediately to the Special 2. That is our primary goal. We don't care about the placebos. This is just a path-splitting placement, right? But Mysterio tends to be annoying. The Special 1 is going to be obnoxious, so we block there, bait out the heavy, counter it, go straight to our Special 1 here, and we're just expecting this Special 2, but that's fine. We're still in pure light form, therefore we cannot miss. We're probably not going to get to another special. I'm expecting to lose the form, but I also know that because of that pause here, yeah, not even with the pause. He was just close enough that we could finish it off before damage reflection was an issue, and that was a gorgeous Photon fight. Really love her anti-miss utility, as long as you're patient on the way to it, or you start ramped. That works great too. So now we're on to another Mr. Fantastic versus Doom fight. Very, excuse me, very simple matchup here. He is going to place some placebos on us, but he's not going to nullify them because we're going to be controlling his aura, thanks to Reed's consistent petrify. And when they expire, even from the beginning, the maximum that he's going to get as far as power from them is going to be 60% of Mystic Dispersion, and pretty quickly we're going to get up to our Special 2, and then it's going to go down to 20%. So we are just not worried about him in the slightest. He's still healing now, but as soon as we land this first Special 2, now every time he gets a regen, it's actually good for us as opposed to bad for us, and this is just simple from here on out. At this point, I'm actually trying to stay close because I would like for him to regen, but you know how personal space nodes work. It always feels like if you want the effect to be on them, it seems like it goes away too quick and applies too late. If you don't want it to be on them, it feels like it's impossible to remove, right? Of course, that's just confirmation bias, but it just means that we're going to have to do a lot of our damage here by actually hitting him and reversing willpower. That's totally fine. We're also now reversing Mystic Dispersion, so when this placebo ends, you'll see his power actually goes down very slightly, and we close this out. A little bit of block damage because Doom is Doom and has block penetration, but Reed is ideal there. Moving on to Zemo here, I had to wait for the Odin pre-fights for future Ant-Man here. The important one, of course, being Shock. But once that's there, I believe I took this in my last war with Zayn this season. It's very, very simple, provided that you have this pre-fight. You are just baiting heavies and smacking him. Sure, he's going to throw some specials. You're going to take some crits through block. You're going to use some potions. It just doesn't matter. You are doing so much to control the fight, to avoid most of the threats, the prowess. Just the general control of power also helps. Of course, getting hit isn't great, but that's why we invuln. And you're doing so much damage when you have the power detonation passive active There's just no threat here. We managed to get him to throw a heavy there without even blocking, thanks to some nice little AI manipulation, getting a little bit lucky. Do some good damage there with that second special too. And at this point, I'm just trying to bait out this special, and I'm hoping that probably one more combo, yep, finishes him off. We don't even need to get to the third power detonation passive, although things would have been very quick from there. Fast forward to this bishop on 25, power stack. Same basic idea, bait heavies and hit the opponent. We are going to have to deal with nullify here. You see immediately we lose our Odin pre-fights, as well as our first armor up. It looks like we didn't get the passive when it was nullified, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe future Ant-Man's code for that doesn't come online until after nullify. Not really sure. Either way, this is what the rest of the fight looks like. We're just baiting heavies and hitting him, either with the actual specials or with our own basics to control his power. And then, of course, when the detonation activates, that's also going to control his power. We are playing around the power stings. We know they're going to be there, but it's not that hard to avoid them. You saw me get the first one off cleanly, just from the sheer amount of power burn we're getting from the tactic. And then the second special 2 finishes him off. So, not nullify immune, do get nullified. All that power snack, he doesn't throw a single special just from baiting those heavies. Beautiful answer. Now we move on to Thing here with Photon. This one is automatically a little bit spooky, I'm not going to lie. Because this is the Sadist node, and Photon puts a lot of debuffs on the opponent. So I was a little bit on edge here, because if we get hit, there's a very good chance we lose the fight. I believe I have an invuln on here, but I honestly don't remember right now, and we are going to try and be careful. So notice that I do go for and get the intercept immediately before I go into pure light form, so I do a ton of damage there. I managed to push him to 15 rock stacks. We keep that under control. We're doing good damage. I will say the suppression is actually working against us a little bit, because it is making it harder to push him to a full bar, and you are seeing that come into play right here, because he's at 14, and obviously we have that problem. So he does hit me there, which surprised me. I feel like that means that I probably coded her untouchable a little bit in the wrong place. We're off by like a frame or something. But then the untouchable kicks in and we're safe, which is why I threw that special too, because I knew the untouchable was going to make it alright. We were far enough from a bar of power that I figured throwing a special was actually safer than trying to give him power into his block, and it definitely worked out. Second time we get up to 15, he was close enough to a bar that hitting into his block was the better strategy, but we get through this only using a single charge on our indestructible. So, not an ideal counter, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend that that was perfect. I played it well, she did well, but like that was one that we definitely threw down here because I knew I could make it work, rather than it being a particularly good thing counter. Moving on to Sauron, we take some annoying block damage there, and then I take a full hit to the face and just scrub it up. But besides that, this should be easier than both of our other fights with Zayn this war, because we're just going to turn off pretty much everything Sauron does, and that's all we have to worry about. Now, of course, if we did somehow get hit by a special 3 here, we would probably die instantly, thanks to all of the prowess that he is gaining and that we are then removing. But that's where the power control comes in, right? We get the intercept before the special 2, do a ton of damage all at once, and at this point I'm expecting probably not going to get to another special 2. As long as I get an intercept, there we go. We're going to be doing enough damage off of this power detonation that just throwing the special 1 is the way to close out the fight. Well, special 1 and being proactive enough to punish a medium into our block. So, moving on, next we have Mangog on 54. This is going to be my last fight of the war, and I do make a mistake here. I've said before, and I do believe, that if you understand AI manipulation and you play this correctly, it's very hard to die with Reed. Those are two pretty big ifs, though, and you're going to see me violate one of them. Because the other thing that I've said before is that part of the playing it properly on this particular node is that you cannot be afraid of throwing a special one. And what you'll see here isn't me necessarily being afraid of throwing a special one, but I miss my window to do so. And it does cost me. Everything else that you're seeing here is correct. You go just for heavies while stunned to take advantage of the Petrify Mastery. I'm avoiding decks wherever I can. I'm blocking parts of the special one instead of dexing it, because we know that we're not actually controlling Mystic Dispersion here with the enhanced power gain. All of that is correct. But I probably should have thrown another special one on the way to this special 2. Because if these 3 bars of power become a special 1 and a special 2 in any order, rather than a special 3, then we'd be fully ramped. And that doesn't matter so much as far as controlling Mangog's ability power rate. That does matter, right? The power he gains over time. But what it means is that we would have almost completely shut down his combat power rate. And that would be really nice right about now, because he is crossing more bars of power than he was. I really need to, land that heavy there. I also, of course, lost some health that I didn't need to just by going for a heavy punish after that special 1 that I did not need to go for. I messed up, and there goes 20%. But what I was saying is, because we weren't fully ramped, he's now crossed more bars of power, and obviously getting hit doesn't hurt. But because he's crossed more bars of power, then Aspect of Evolution has had more chances to trigger. His block penetration and his attack are higher, and that's why that special 2 hurt so much, as well as the hits I took immediately before it. And that's why we're so close to death. Because I have eaten special 2s multiple times on this node before. I've eaten them back to back and been fine. But the other things in that fight are why, even with the 7-star, that was that scary. So, I need to play that differently next time. I've done it correctly 1,000 times. I did it about, I'm going to say 70% correctly that time, and I was lucky to survive. So, that's the difference. Hope that's instructive to anyone else taking that. Hope you guys enjoyed this war. I definitely did. These were very fun assignments. I realize that's funny to say when I gave them to myself, but they were. It was definitely a bit of a mess for us, especially in BG3. I mean, obligatory, the AI does feel bad right now. And we also just had some bad days for a lot of our best players, so it happens. But we did, thankfully, pull out the win. And so that means that we are headed into the last third of the season 4-4, which is a whole lot better than 3-5. So, really glad we were able to pull that out. And see y'all in the next one. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and take care.